For 10 years, I was kept like a canary. In a gilded cage. Until the day I died. He never once spoke of marriage. Then I opened my eyes and found myself back a decade earlier, determined not to repeat the same nightmare. The first thing I did after being reborn was seek out the man who would one day become his greatest enemy. Back then, he was just a broke mechanic. I slapped a bank card on the table and said, "Marry me. After the wedding, I'll hand over my entire salary." He clenched his jaw. "If you make even $3,000 a month, I'll say yes." I proposed to Jaden Brown. A cigarette hung from the man's lips. "What do you see in me?" I thought for a long while and forced out, "You're handsome." "Huh?" That derisive little laugh made my face burn. I gathered my courage and asked, "So, do you agree?" Jaden Brown said nothing. He stared straight at me, as if he had already seen through my little abacus of plans. I stiffened my spine and met his gaze, hoping he would see how sincere I was. After a long time, he smiled with lazy insolence. He tossed back, "A wife delivered to my door for free. Why wouldn't I agree?" And so, I got married. On the second day after I crossed over, clutching the little red booklet, I still felt a deep, unreal haze. In my last life, I had actually met Jaden. It was the 7th year Noah Wilson had kept me locked up. I escaped from the villa with not a cent to my name. On the street, I ran into Jaden. By then, he was already a famed entrepreneur, impeccably dressed, carrying a chill that warned strangers away. I begged him to save me. Jaden arranged a place for me to stay and bought me a plane ticket to leave. But later, Noah Wilson still found me. Refusing to dwell on that past, I looked up and asked Jaden, "Where to now?" "I'm taking you home." I blinked. "Aren't we married?" "So what?" "So you weren't planning to take me home with you?" Jaden lived in a housing complex that hadn't opened yet. The building wasn't even topped off. Everyone coming and going. Inside were construction workers. I used to haul bricks here. I know the foreman. Before handover. "I'm making do here." Rentry. Perhaps seeing the doubt in my eyes, Jaden explained of his own accord. The place was raw, industrial to the core. Inside, aside from a camp cot, it was bare. The bathroom didn't even have a flush toilet, and the shower was just a single faucet. Jaden looked at me, regretting it. "You can still run now." "I'm not." I set my luggage down to the side. "Well, sleep here tonight. Isn't the cot a bit small?" Jaden narrowed his eyes and replied, "It's enough." Night fell and I lay on Jaden's camp cot. He spread 2 sheets of newspaper on the floor and lay down. There were no curtains through the glass. The moonlight was bright. "Jaden, are you asleep?" Worried he'd catch a chill on the floor. I inched to one side of the cot. "Do you want to come up and sleep?" The cot was small, but if we squeezed, it might work. A few seconds passed before Jaden finally answered. "If I come over, you can forget about sleeping." I tightened my grip on the blanket. "I don't mind." The moment the words left my mouth, Jaden pounced on me like a beast granted permission. I didn't react at first and instinctively turned my head away. The weight on me lifted. In the moonlight, I saw a hint of mockery on Jaden's face. "Don't say things you can't follow through on. I'm a straightforward man. I take people at their word." With that, he started to lie back down on the newspaper. Sensing what he meant to do, I grabbed the hem of his shirt. My fingers slipped through a gap and brushed his skin. Jaden shivered. From head to toe, a shadow passing through his eyes as he looked at me. I bit my lip. I really want this. Afraid he'd refuse, I even dared to scratch lightly inside twice. Jaden's gaze darkened. Now you're out of chances. Unlike the gym-sculpted muscles Noah had trained up on purpose, Jaden's body, forged by years of hard labor, was a natural weak gold. His abs were firm, his whole frame brimming with strength. In the end, I couldn't take it, and he only stopped when my sobs turned to hiccuping tremors. He kissed away my tears with rough impatience and muttered, so delicate. There was a note of displeasure in his voice. I already act all over. Instead of comforting me, he scolded me for nothing. I was miffed, too. I turned my back, not wanting to look at him. He didn't try to coax me. He got off the cot and went, who knows where, hugging the blanket. The more I thought, the more wronged I felt. In my last life, Noah kept me like a canary for 10 years. Only in death did I finally escape. I had thought heaven took pity on me and gave me a chance to start over. I didn't expect Jaden to act like a different person. I was still crying when a hot towel suddenly fell over my face. I hadn't noticed when Jaden came back. He was holding a basin and a steaming towel. Crying? I'm not. I denied. Jaden gave my face a careless wipe, then turned to wring the towel out. What are you doing? There's no hot water in this place, so no shower. Wipe down. You'll feel better. My skin was indeed sticky. Too flustered to stay angry, cheeks burning, I reached to take the towel. I'll do it myself. Stay put. Ignoring my hands, Jaden lifted the blanket and pressed the hot towel to my skin. A moment later, I heard his voice. Don't sulk. Next time, I'll go easier. All right. There was a touch of awkwardness in it. Heat slowly rose to my cheeks. The corners of my lips curled up. I pulled the blanket over my face. When I woke the next day, Jaden was already dressed. On the low little table sat 2 steamed buns. I had no idea when he'd gone out to buy them. The water's boiling. Wash up and I'll take you to work. No need. I can go myself. Jaden cast me a look. There are a lot of laborers around here. A little girl like you isn't safe alone. Then he added, call me after work. I'll pick you up. I doled through my washing and only then noticed the bank card on the table. It was the one I'd given Jaden when I proposed yesterday. The card. Don't forget it. Jaden glanced at it. Keep it. I'm not about to spend a woman's money. Liar. He was clearly this poor since he wouldn't take it. I didn't argue. In my head, I was already planning to use the savings on the card to change places. If Jaden wasn't willing, at least we could change the bed. It wasn't the golden house of my last life. But when I looked at Jaden, I felt an odd sense of steadiness. That good mood lasted all the way until I got to work. I had barely stepped into the office when Maria Lopez said, "Let over all secrecy. Emily, I have great news for you." She lowered her voice. "My cousin has his eye on you." Me? She dragged me aside. "Conspiratorella. My cousin is no ordinary man. He's super handsome, has a great temperament, graduated from Cambridge, and his father is the richest man around. Countless heiresses try to get close to him and he turns them all down. Yesterday he suddenly told me he wants me to set him up on a date with you." Maria Lopez's eyes shone. Girl, your lucky days are here. Cambridge educated. Father, the richest man in the city. A name flashed into my mind. The blood drained from my face. I schooled my expression and declined as gently as I could. Please tell your cousin I'm sorry. I'm not so fortunate. I'm married. Maria didn't believe it. We've worked together a year. You didn't even have a boyfriend. How are you suddenly married? I really am. We've registered already. The ceremony isn't set yet. When it is, I'll send you all invitations. I smiled. I have 2 classes right now. I'm heading to the classroom. I walked away quickly. Only after I stepped outside did my whole body feel as if all strength had left it. Noah, in my last life, he shouldn't have appeared at this time. Why would he show up so much earlier? And how did he even know that Maria and I teach at an elementary school? My hands and feet went cold. I told myself in this life, I'm already married. I have Jaden. I absolutely will not repeat the past. Still, Noah's early appearance rattled me. I was distracted the entire day. My right eyelid kept twitching as if something was about to happen. Sure enough, the moment I left the school. After work, I saw a black car idling at the gate. The badge screamed money. When he spotted me, the man inside stepped out, a bouquet of roses in his hand. Miss Jackson, he called out to me, smiling as he introduced himself. Pardon the intrusion. I'm Noah, Maria's cousin. Students just dismissed were everywhere, along with parents waiting to pick them up. The roses in Noah's hands were conspicuous and showy. Someone recognized me and started clapping. Others egged me on to accept. Color drained from my cheeks. What do you think you're doing? Don't be nervous. I only wanted to meet you. The corner of Noah's mouth tipped up. I happened to see you once while waiting for Maria and took a great liking to you. Today I came uninvited. No pressure. Treat it like making a friend. No matter how well Noah played the part, I still felt the madness in his eyes. In my helplessness, I suddenly caught sight of Jaden in the corner, straddling a beat-up motorcycle. A cigarette between his lips, he was watching me from under his lashes. As if none of it had anything to do with him. Like a drowning person spotting a piece of driftwood. I ran straight to him. The familiar smell of motor oil on Jaden studied me. I turned and said to Noah, I already explained it to Maria. I'm married. Noah clearly hadn't expected that. His smile froze. His gaze slid to Jaden and a flash of hatred flickered in his eyes. He hid it quickly, but I caught it. Hatred? This was the first time he'd ever laid eyes on Jaden. Why would there be hate? Noah smoothed over his expression almost at once and recovered his poise. I was presumptuous, not learning Miss Jackson's circumstances first. Since I've already bought these flowers, I won't take them back. Let me simply wish you both a happy marriage. Then he proffered them toward me. Flowers for a beauty. I imagine your husband won't mind. Before I could speak, Jaden suddenly laughed. Who says I don't mind? He looked at Noah. I'm a petty man. Can't stand my gorgeous wife accepting things from other men. With that, he plopped a pink little helmet over my head. Wear it. I stared at the brand new helmet and my mood inexplicably lifted. I couldn't help asking, did you buy this just for me? Found it in a trash pile. I Grinned. Then next time, could you find a blue one? I like blue. Jaden raised a brow and pretended to take the helmet back. I hurriedly tightened the strap. Tapped the shell twice with my knuckles. Does it look good? Amusement warmed his eyes. He reached up and pulled down the visor. Then he murmured, "Dummy." When I looked back, Noah was already gone. After today's little spectacle, everyone knew my husband worked at an auto shop. Between classes, I overheard a few teachers gossiping. So, what if she's pretty? She's still married. That. Did you see his motorcycle? Such a wreck. It sounded like a tractor. Laughter followed. When I walked in, someone deliberately asked, "Emily, where does your man fix cars?" My husband just bought a Benz. After the first service, we'll go to him and throw some business his way. Sure. I'll send you the address later. Maria couldn't stand it any longer and dragged me out of the office. Are you brainless? They're walking all over you and you won't even talk back. You're good-looking and you have a proper job. How could you marry a Maria? Paused then. Pressed on? I'm blunt. Don't hate me for it. You're fresh out of school. You've been duped. You think love can beat bread, but you'll regret it later. Seriously, think about my cousin. He said he doesn't mind if you've been married before. Maria, your bag is really pretty. I cut her off, gaze dropping to the arms on her desk. New. Maria stalled and blushed. Maria's salaried. It was obvious who gave her the bag and why. I didn't call it out. My husband and I are fine. What kind of life we live is our business? Please. Don't talk about him again. I don't like it. That evening after work, Jaden didn't ride the motorcycle. Where's your bike? Sold it. He didn't explain further. The corner of his mouth tilted. Come on. He tugged me along, but we weren't heading our usual way. I had no idea what he was up to. After a few 100 meters, we stopped at a small apartment block near my school, 3rd floor. Go up and take a look. A guest rose faintly in my heart, but I didn't dare believe it. I climbed to the 3rd floor at a dawdle. The middle unit's door stood wide open. I pushed it and stepped into a snug 2-bedroom. It wasn't large, but it was unusually warm and welcoming. The curtains were the color of the sky, one corner lifted lightly by the breeze. Sunset poured through the window and the whole room gleamed gold. He remembered that I like blue. I didn't know how to describe the feeling. 2 lifetimes I'd lived in a lavish villa and in a bare cement shell. But only in this moment did it feel like happiness had filled my heart to the brim. You sold the motorcycle to rent this place. Near the school, the neighborhood counted as a school district. Old buildings, but not cheap. Jaden's money probably wasn't enough for the deposit. Plus 3 months' rent. He didn't mention the bike, only said it's close to your school, easy for your commute, and there's no hot water over there. You're too delicate to stand it. Before he finished, I turned and threw my arms around his waist. Jaden was stunned by my sudden crash into his chest. After a beat, his hands came around my back. All right, it's not time for you to cry yet. Save it for tonight and cry for me, huh? Shameless. That night, Jaden did, in fact, make me cry again, pulling me close afterward, thoroughly satisfied. He kissed the corner of my mouth. My wife was right. Double beds really do beat singles. Should have moved sooner. When did I ever say that? I swallowed my retort and didn't kick him. Out of bed. The next day, Saturday, we planned to go to the Shell apartment to pick up our things. By afternoon, Jaden still hadn't come home. I may not make it today. Something came up at the shop. He called me midway. I didn't think much of it. I'll go myself then. There wasn't much anyway, just one carry-on. It was noisy on his end. I didn't catch whatever he said before I hung up. Before, Jaden never let me go there alone. Mostly because there were too many workers. He always felt it wasn't safe. But it was broad daylight. Grabbing a bag didn't seem like a big deal. I hadn't expected that as soon as I walked in, 3 or 4 workers would trail after me. Girl, you live here alone? My heart seized. Who are you? Get out. We work here. Why would we get out? The one in front laughed. Been watching. You come here with some guy. Wild pair. The two of you. How about keeping us company today? The place was too bare. I couldn't find anything to defend myself with. I gritted my teeth and bolted for the door. They reacted fast. One grabbed my hair and flung me to the ground. Nice little figure. Been craving you for a while. Been waiting for today. He pressed down on me. I felt like mad and screamed just as his hand was about to touch my clothes. The door slammed open. The weight pinning me vanished. The man knocked sprawling. The other two moved as if to help. I'm the developer here. You sure you want to lay hands on me? The 3 looked at one another as if weighing whether that was true. A heartbeat later, they cursed and fled. Noah shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it over me, then said to the assistant beside him, "Find them. You know what to do." The assistant nodded and left. Only then did Noah lower his head. Do you remember me? My fingers whitened on the jacket. I don't. I handed the jacket back and picked up my suitcase. Thank you for helping me today. I started past him when Noah suddenly caught my wrist. You seem afraid of me. We're not acquainted. Why would I be afraid of you? Fair. Noah released me. How did you end up here? If I'm not mistaken, this development isn't finished. None of your business. True. But the land is mine. Noah fixed his eyes on me. Illegal occupancy. What do you think will happen if I use that to sue Jaden? What exactly do you want? You. Noah didn't bother to hide his aim. Emily Jackson, I told you from the beginning, I want you. I also told you I'm married. That isn't my concern. I pressed my lips together. He bent until his eyes were level with mine. That man can't give you the life you want. A pearl like you shouldn't gather dust in his hands. So, will you let your man run? In prison or come live like the elite? With me? You choose. I clenched my suitcase and turned for the door. This time, Noah didn't stop me. Only after I'd left the complex did I realize I was shaking from head to toe. 3 workers had tailed me in, and Noah had just happened to play hero. I didn't believe for a second that any of it was coincidence. Another life, and Noah was still the same. If he set his sights on something, he would use any means to get it. I called Jaden several more times. No one picked up. Only when daylight began to fade did I feel something was wrong. Since we married, Jaden had never come home this late. I ran straight to the shop where he worked. It was a mess. I stopped the janitor. Do you know where Jaden is? Little Jaden? He went to the Hospital. I was stunned. Why the hospital? Out of the blue. The uncle shook his head. What a sin. Ran into some thugs who don't play fair. By the time I had the address and rushed over, they were wheeling Jaden out of the exam room. 2 bloody gouges scored his face. His right arm was set in a plaster splint. His mud-streaked clothes were dotted with rusty red. My tears burst free at once. Jaden, what are you doing here? He walked over and with his uninjured hand wiped my cheeks. Enough. I ain't dead, am I? What are you crying for? Of all times, he chose to say that. Anger pricked my chest. I was about to speak when a voice cut in. Damn, brother. Jaden. Sis-in-law is gorgeous, as pretty as a fairy. Then the boy muttered, no wonder you won't hang with us at night. If I had a wife this beautiful, I wouldn't go out either. Only then did I notice the young guy standing behind Jaden. He wasn't very old. He stared at me, wide-eyed, clear gaze, impossible to dislike. His blunt praise made me a little embarrassed, but Jaden's mouth curved, clearly amused. Get away from my wife. After I asked the doctor and learned that aside from a minor fracture in his right hand, the rest were superficial wounds, I finally let out a breath. How did you get hurt like this? Before Jaden could answer, the boy burst out, cursing. We ran into a jerk today. Not a damn thing wrong with his car, but he swore brother Jaden messed it up and demanded we pay. We wouldn't, so he brought a bunch of goons to smash the shop. Didn't you call the police? What good would that do? The guy's obviously connected. License plate has 58S. Who can afford that without power or money? 58? Something clicked. What kind of car? Black Hummer. The kid kept lamenting. We've pissed off an ancestor. What do we do now? Brother Jaden, will the boss hold us responsible? I didn't hear a word after that. Everything went black in my head. Noah again. Suddenly, a hand pinched my cheek. I hissed, looking up into Jaden's teasing eyes. At his nonulence, something felt off. You're not worried. Worried about what? About what comes next? Jaden snorted. Worst case, I quit. What else can they do to me? Then the corner of his mouth kicked up. Besides, I've got my wife to keep. Me. 3,000 a month, wages handed over. He was dangling the memory of my proposal. My face flamed. I nodded. Lightly. All my money is yours. Jaden flicked my forehead with a knuckle and added, dummy. Jaden was fired. I heard the auto shop boss call him. This one's on me. I'm sorry, but the other guy's too powerful. There's nothing I can do. Jaden smoked, expression unreadable. When the call ended, he called out. Wife. I thought he was about to tell me he'd been let go. I was working out how to comfort him when he said, I smell rank. Help me shower. What? I looked up. There wasn't a trace of dejection on him. Help him shower. My face went scarlet. Why do you think about that kind of thing all day long? What kind of thing? Jaden arched a brow. My right arm's in a cast. I can't get it wet. I just wanted you to run the bath for me. Then he leaned to my ear. Or did you have other ideas? Say the word and I'll sacrifice this arm if I have to. And still satisfy you. Fuming and flustered, I forgot all about the job and marched to the bathroom, his pleased chuckle following me down the hall. Still in the bath, Jaden noticed what had happened to me earlier. His fingers gently pinched my neck. He frowned. What's this? Only then did I realize. There was a bloodied scrape there and several distinct bruises where I'd been grabbed, probably from my struggle that afternoon. I hurried to hide it under my hair. I did it by accident. Jaden's laugh was cold. You accidentally strangled yourself and scratched yourself, too. I had no choice but to tell the truth. I went to the Shell apartment to get our things. Some men followed me in. Seeing his face darken instantly, I rushed to add, but nothing happened. Someone saved me, Jaden said. Nothing. We stood there stalemated. In the cramped bathroom, the steam thinned. The draft raised a fine chill on my skin. I shivered. Jaden came to and wrapped me in a bath towel. I tugged at his hand. Are you angry? I shouldn't have let you go alone. His eyes held unhidden pain and regret. But the fault was mine. I couldn't hold it in any longer and spilled everything I knew in one breath. It was all Noah, the man who brought me roses at school. Him. The Hummer is his. He smashed the shop on purpose to make trouble for you. Those workers were his, too. He set them to lie in wait so he could swoop in and save me. He even knows where we live. Over there, and said he'll sue you. I don't know why he's so cruel. Why he won't leave me alone. I'm sorry. This is all my fault. If it weren't for me, I broke off, sobbing hard, wanting to cry out the grievances of two lives. I don't understand. I never provoked Noah. Why won't he let me go? Seeing me weep, Jaden dabbed my face with the towel. Why do your golden beans fall at the drop of a hat? You don't blame me. What would I blame you for? Being too pretty, too magnetic, walking down the street and getting eyed by crooks. This man, my mood moments ago so raw, dissolved under those two lines. I sniffed. Jaden, do you regret it? Regret what? Marrying me? He shot back instead of answering. Do you regret it? Marrying a man with nothing. Now a fired mechanic. I shook my head hard. My wife doesn't regret it. What the hell would I regret? His brows tipped up. My wife turns up her nose at the richest man's son and chooses me instead, paying in cash and heart to be with me. Where's the hardship in that? The way he said it made me want to cry again. In fact, I did cry again. I burrowed into Jaden's arms. I love you. He clearly hadn't expected that. His whole body went stiff. Then he crushed me to his chest. In a rough, low voice, he answered, your man's here. After that day, Jaden got very busy. Funny thing, he had no job, yet he still left early and came back late. I had no idea what he was doing. Maybe he was rattled by Noah, too. Even though we'd moved next to the school, he still insisted on escorting me to and from work every day. When you're at school, stick with the other teachers. Don't wander off. Got it. I had to laugh. I'm not a kindergartner. I'm not that fragile. Jaden's mouth quirked. You are a kid. Lately, his social engagements clearly multiplied. When he couldn't make it, he'd have that colleague we met at the hospital help out. I felt bad and told the boy, it's just a short walk. I can go by myself next time. Don't trouble yourself. No can do. He grinned. Mission assigned by brother Jaden must be completed. Besides, a fairy like you needs guarding. Since I couldn't persuade him, I turned to Jaden. Keep this up and people will gossip you're whipped by your wife. Jaden felt no shame, only pride. He rolled his eyes. I love doing on my wife. What's it to them? He left me half exasperated, half amused. One day at work, Maria dragged me into a corner, all secretive, and pulled up her phone. Is this your husband? I looked, and there was Jaden, drinking with a woman. She was strikingly made up. Besides Jaden, 4 or 5 men crowded around her. The room was dim. I couldn't see his expression, but it was him. My girlfriend snapped. This at a bar. I thought the guy looked like him. Maria eyed me. I heard he got fired from the shop. Now he's just a hoodlum. Look, he's even fallen to selling his looks, boozing with some woman. Is this the true love you keep talking about? Use your head. Don't catch something nasty. Have you said enough? My face went cold. Maria, you've badmouthed my husband again and again. Stalked and snapped photos. Tried to egg us into divorcing. You know very well what you're doing. As for what Noah has given you, I'm not saying it doesn't mean I don't know. From now on, unless it's work, don't seek me out alone. I turned and went into the office. A while later, Maria came in, eyes rimmed red. I vaguely heard colleagues comforting her, saying I didn't know what was good for me. That night, Jaden came home very late. Just got back. I sniffed. How much did you drink? Jaden deliberately rubbed his cheek against mine. You dislike it, I laughed and dodged. He pulled me into his arms and exhaled long and deep. Thanks for bearing with things lately. I hugged him back and shook my head. The next morning, I caught a trace of perfume on his shirt. On the cuff, a faint lipstick smear. Maria's photo flashed in my mind, and a sourness tightened my chest. If I could choose, I'd rather Jaden were only a mechanic. Days trickled by like this. I didn't expect that one day I would actually catch Jaden with a woman. I was out shopping with a few teachers. We passed an expensive Western restaurant. A teacher tugged my bag and ventured. Emily, doesn't that guy look a bit like your husband? I looked over. The man sat by the window. Opposite him was a woman with impeccable makeup. My heart dropped. Not looks like it was him. My face must have fallen. Sensing my reaction, my colleague forced a laugh. It's probably business. The way they're talking looks perfectly normal. I murmured and didn't want to look anymore and said, let's go. I had just turned when a colleague suddenly shrieked and yanked me back. Emily. Why? Why your husband? My heart jolted. Then I heard her blurt. He just decked that woman. Me? I whipped around to see the perfectly good table get kicked clean over by Jaden. He looked down at the now pale woman, a curl of mockery at his lips. I hurried over just in time to hear him say, with looks like yours, you think you can pine after me? What are you exactly? Then, swaggering toward the exit, he came eye to eye with me. The man who'd been strutting like a little lion a second ago clearly hadn't expected to see me. He withered at once. Wife, he frowned, then rushed to explain. I don't hit women. That was an accident. Long legs brushed the table. And it flipped. I snorted a laugh. I'm not mad at you. Jaden let out a breath, tugged the corner of his mouth up, and took my hand. Then, let's go home. Only At home did I learn that the contacts Jaden had been working these days were actually Noah's sister. The sales job is just a cover to get close to his sister. Jaden gave a cold laugh. Gina Wilson plays wild, especially fond of pretty boys, and she's done plenty of outrageous things in private. I latched onto her these days, climbed onto their internal grapevine, and pulled a lot of intel. Sold it to their rival. It'll probably hit the news tomorrow. Not earth-shaking, but enough to throw the Wilson family into chaos for a while. While they're scrambling to clean up. Noah shouldn't have time to mess with. You did all this just so Noah wouldn't have bandwidth to come after me. In a few days, I may have to run down to S-City. I won't feel at ease unless I block Noah off for a bit. The moment I heard Jaden was leaving, reluctance pricked at me. Why, the sudden trip? How long? About a week or so. If it goes well, I may be on the road a lot after. So, this was what Jaden had really been busy with. A transport company. I picked up some connections fixing cars. Contracted a few trucks to run loads. Early on, I don't know a thing, so I have to do it myself. He scrubbed my hair hard with his hand. Wait for me. The day he left, I slipped the bank card into his pocket. Anyway, it held the $70,000 I'd saved over the years. Everything I owned. I left a note. You'll need cash when you're out. The password is our birthdays. Come back safe. After Jaden hit the road, Gina Wilson really did make the headlines. Someone stoked it on purpose. Other scandals got dragged in. And the rich family melons set the crowds ablaze. Noah was stretched thin. And indeed stopped showing up. My days eased. At term's end, the outstanding teacher selection began. Each school had just one slot. Based on earlier evaluations, the school had intended to put me forward. But when the results were announced, the name had become Maria's. The administrators were embarrassed. They asked to speak with me and said it was a pick from above. We all knew why. Leaving the principal's office, I saw Maria. Since the photo incident, we'd barely spoken. She huffed softly as she passed me and said nothing. It hadn't stirred much in me at all. But that night on video with Jaden, a little nod of grievance slipped out. I pressed my lips together, determined not to cry. Jaden noticed at once. What's wrong? I didn't want him to worry. Just watched a movie. Feeling stuffed up. He gave a helpless little laugh. Dummy. After we hung up, I slapped my cheeks hard, mocking myself for backsliding. In my last life, my father was wrongfully imprisoned and my mother fell gravely ill under pressure, and I held it together without shedding a tear. Yet, over something this trivial, I nearly cried to Jaden. Near dawn, I had just drifted off when the lock clicked. My heart jerked tight. Afraid Noah had come to cause trouble, I picked up the bat I kept for self-defense and stood behind the door, waiting. A second later, the door swung open. I swung the bat. Whoever it was seemed prepared. He caught it on the backhand. And then I heard a familiar teasing draw. What? Keeping a stray outside and plotting to murder your lawful husband. Joy shot through me. Husband? You're back. My wife's in a bad mood. A husband ought to be home. How did you know I was upset? I'm not brainless. You think that acting of yours could fool me? The golden beans I'd forced back spilled again. Jade. Sight. Little crybaby. He stayed only the night. By morning, he was already on the high-speed train out. I was reluctant to let him go. He kissed my forehead. We've registered the company in Shin already. Come find me when summer break starts. I nodded hard and started counting down on my fingers. Another half a month passed. School let out. I couldn't wait to buy a ticket to S-City. Only when Jaden drove me to his company did I realize it wasn't what I'd imagined. I thought he was just doing ordinary transport, contracting a few trucks to move goods. When I actually saw it, it turned out to be a logistics company integrating e-commerce, transport, and parcel delivery. Not huge yet, but already handling a great many accounts. I was struck dumb. How did you even think of this? In my last life, Jaden had never come to City. He was an ordinary mechanic whom a foreign invested boss later headhunted into a multinational auto group. He eventually left to build his own R&D team to develop chips. That was his first pot of gold. The auto chip business grew bigger and bigger, but now his track had shifted because of me. He'd left the garage early and never met that boss. He'd even come to S-City and started logistics. E-commerce has been booming here these past few years, and logistics is a bottleneck. I happened to understand cars, so I poured the money I made on the road into this to try it. What he didn't say was that although we'd lived in Bend City, the leading conglomerates were still headed by the Wilson family. There, the obstacles to Jaden starting up would have been obvious. For me, he had to go elsewhere. Part of me couldn't help admiring his foresight because I believed Jaden's logistics company would become a vital link, indispensable in S's e-commerce world. Jaden had already rented an apartment, a small two-bedroom, about the size of our place in Bend City, but 3 times the price. Costs are high here. I've thrown all my money into the company. He sounded uncharacteristically sheepish. I used the money on your card. It was yours to begin with. He kissed the corner of my mouth. From now on, my wages are all yours. With the company registered, too. City shuttling wasn't feasible. I'd never been fond of Bend City. Anyway, discussing it with Jaden, I decided to resign and come build a life in Shinaz. Well, I stayed until the new term and returned to school to process my departure. By then, the logistics firm had taken shape, and as a startup frontman, Jaden had even been invited to a few interviews. That colleague who once bragged about her husband's Benz and wanting Jaden to service it spotted me again and came over. All smiles. We saw your husband on TV the other day. I always said Jaden was a stock with potential. Beauties think alike. See? Look at him now. Another chimed in. Emily's eye is something else. If you know any other outstanding young talents, introduce a few to us. I glanced around the circle. The same crowd that had once mocked Jaden behind my back. I didn't want more entanglement. I smiled and made a few polite noises. Emily Jackson. Just as I neared the gate, someone called my name. Maria. In a black uniform dress, she hurried up. Her tone was stiff and she blurted, I chased some petty benefits before and tried to match you with my cousin. I owe you an apology. I pressed my lips together. No need. Wait. Maria grabbed my hand. Emily, I'm sorry. I was forced. After that sentence, everything went dark. When I woke, I was already lying on a bed. The mattress was soft. The room was spacious. Beyond the floor to ceiling windows bloomed a sea of roses. This was the villa I'd lived in for 10 years. For a moment, my brain misfired, the two lives blurring. Had I not died? Was I still here? And all of it only a dream? While I was spiraling, the door opened. Noah walked in. Awake. Instinctively, I tried to sit up, but my limbs were limp and useless. Don't struggle. You can't move. I thought of Maria before I blacked out. It was you. Noah. You do realize unlawful confinement is a crime. He reacted like it was a joke and laughed. Confinement? Emily? You were mine to begin with. He came closer, eyes burning with obsessive madness. Don't you see? We've always been a pair living right here. And in that instant, I finally understood why. No matter how carefully I dodged, I couldn't shake Noah. He had been reborn. Too. I went very still. A pair to begin with. Noah, every day I spent with you stretched like a year worse than death. If you hadn't threatened me with my parents, how could I possibly have lived here with you? Shock swept his face. You? Yes, I remember the last life, too. I looked at him. So, in this life, I won't give you any chance to hurt me again. I could never hurt you. No. Emily, you love me. We were together for 10 years. It was my fault. I shouldn't have left you alone at the villa, or else you wouldn't have. He didn't finish, but I knew he meant wouldn't have died. I almost laughed. Noah, you still don't get it. Why did I stay by your side after my parents died? Because I was gathering evidence to avenge them. I needed to see you go to prison with my own eyes. Otherwise, how could I rest? You want to know why your trade secrets were leaked? Why those filthy things you thought were airtight reached the police? All of that was me. My goal was for you to pay in blood for blood. Enough. Not enough. I decided to say it all at once. After you were locked up, I set the fire. I wanted you to lose everything, including what you had touched. The part of me already fell beyond saving. Why? Why do you hate me when I loved you so much? In my last life, I refused Noah's pursuit. He tricked my father into taking out a loan shark debt, then forced me to be with him. My father, not wanting me wronged, turned himself in. My mother, sick with rage and grief, deteriorated. Noah cut off her access to care and made me move into the villa. I looked at him and sneered. Love, you're fit to speak that word. I stood from the bed and flexed against the restraints. He was stunned. How? How can you move? I met his eyes. Expression flat. Last life, he drugged me and took my body. How could I make the same mistake twice? I lifted my hand and gave a small signal toward the door. Plainclothes officers burst in. Noah went wild, still pleading with me. Emily, let's forget everything and start over. Okay, I don't care what you did. I forgive you. Behind them, I saw Jaden appear in the doorway. I ran to him. As I passed Noah, I said very softly, but I don't forgive you. They took Noah away. I sagged boneless into Jaden's arms. Husband, don't you want to ask me anything? Jaden shook his head. It's over. It was, yes, over. All the rights and wrongs had nothing to do with me anymore. From then on, I was only Jaden's wife. When you have time, come with me to see my parents. His lips curved. Okay. From the first day I was reborn, I'd found an excuse to get my parents out of Bend City and back to our hometown. Early retirement, life had been peaceful. They didn't know about my marriage to Jaden. I hadn't dared to tell them. At New Year, Jaden brought armfuls of gifts to pay respects and to propose. We finally held our wedding that March. 2 lives lived, and it was the first time I'd ever worn a wedding dress. Jaden's parents had both passed. He'd grown up alone, so only my side of the family attended. When he bowed and offered tea, calling them Dad and Mom, I clearly saw tears gather at the corners of his eyes. Out of nowhere, my thoughts slid to the last life. When I died, Jaden was nearing 40 and still alone. I'd never heard a single rumor about him. Temperate, aesthetic, like someone not of this world. If you hadn't married me, what kind of wife would you have chosen? That night, I couldn't help asking. I don't know. He thought a moment. Maybe none. I got used to being alone. Then why did you say yes when I proposed? He seemed to search his memory. Then his lips tilted with a private thought. I just felt having one more person would be nice. And besides, such a beautiful wife. My eyes went wide. So it was lust at first sight. Probably not. You had the bank card. After all. He bit back a smile. I felt lust for the money, too. I pouted and he kissed my forehead. Thank you, wife, for giving me a home. No, it should be me thanking Jaden. 2 lives and I finally found